Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. Our topic is adding metrics to gut feelings for better predictions. In this presentation, we'll explore how combining intuition with data can improve our decision-making. We'll look at practical ways to incorporate metrics into our instincts and see how this can lead to more accurate forecasts. So, let's get started and discover how to make smarter predictions together. Let's talk about gut feelings in fantasy football. They can be incredibly powerful because your brain has already done a lot of pattern matching behind the scenes. It's assessed thousands of games, injuries, coaching changes, and those unpredictable boom or bust cycles. So, when you get that instinct, it's often based on a lot of subconscious data your brain has processed. But here's the catch. Gut feelings can also be noisy. They're susceptible to biases like recency bias, where recent events weigh too heavily, or confirmation bias, where you look for information that supports your gut and ignore what contradicts it. There's also my guy syndrome, where loyalty to a player clouds objective judgment. So the goal isn't to ignore your gut entirely. Instead, it's about quantifying it, bringing your intuition into a more analytical framework. Think of data as the referee, helping you keep your instincts in check and making more informed decisions. I recommend developing a method to track these gut feelings and record your reasoning. Keep this in your diary or notes so you can review and analyze your intuition over time. This way, you can learn when your gut is on point and when it might be leading you astray, ultimately sharpening your decision-making process in fantasy football. All right, here's a pro tip I've found really helpful. At the end of each season, take some time to score your own gut accuracy. You can do this with a Breyer score, which measures how close your predictions are, or simply track your hit rate on your top 12 finishes. The key idea here is to identify where your intuition is really sharp versus where it's not so great. Using a diary or some kind of tracking system helps you see these patterns over time. Many people discover that their gut is actually elite when predicting veterans in familiar offenses. They tend to have a much better read on those situations. Conversely, they might find their intuition falters when it comes to rookies or unfamiliar offenses. This process is all about learning what your gut does well and where it needs improvement. It's a powerful way to make you more aware of your instincts and ultimately improve your overall decision-making. And of course, it ties back to our main goal, trusting your intuition smarter, not harder. All right, let's talk about turning your gut feelings into a tangible number, which is a crucial calibration step before diving into any stats. The idea here is to force yourself to score every player on a scale from 1 to 10, based on your instinct and reasoning. This isn't about being perfect. It's about creating a consistent way to gauge your confidence and gut impressions. So for each player, you want to come up with a quick one-sentence justification for your score. Think of it as anchoring your gut feeling with a clear reason. For example, if you give someone a 9 or 10, you're saying you have a strong conviction that this player is a top pick, like, "This is my favorite late-round steal." Conversely, a 1 or 2 indicates a strong aversion, like avoid at all costs. Scores in the 7 or 8 range reflect a positive lean. Maybe you like the situation or the team fit, but you're not quite sold as an elite option. Middle scores around 5 or 6 are more neutral, solid but nothing that excites you. And the lower scores, 3 or 4, are where skepticism kicks in, red flags, doubts, or concerns that outweigh the positives. The key here is consistency. By forcing yourself to justify each score, you're training your intuition to be more disciplined and aligned with your overall evaluation. This calibration helps you trust your gut, especially when your stats and data might not tell the full story. It's all about turning those instinctive impressions into a structured, comparable format to inform your decisions better. Now, let's dive into the metric layer, which I like to think of as our referee in fantasy football analysis. Essentially, this is where we pick 3 to 5 objective, predictive metrics that have historically outperformed expert consensus. These are the tools that give us a clearer, data-driven edge. For 2026 fantasy football, I've identified the highest ROI metrics we should focus on. First up is projected fantasy points, which we get from sources like PFF, Fantasy Pros, or ESPN consensus. But to make these comparable across players, we normalize everything to a 0 to 100 scale. Next, we look at situational efficiency. This includes metrics like target share, air yards share, yards per route run, and red zone usage. These stats tell us how effectively a player is used in different game situations. Then there's opportunity and market data. This covers snap percentage projections, differences between average draft position and expert consensus rankings, and even implied team win totals from betting markets. These help us gauge a player's potential opportunity and how the market values them. We also consider durability and risk. This involves injury probability models and tracking games missed over the last 3 years, giving us insight into a player's reliability. Finally, we factor in advanced context, especially from next-gen stats. Things like separation, catch percentage, pressure to sack rate for quarterbacks, and PFF grades adjusted for the level of competition. These give us a deeper understanding of a player's true ability and situation. A key point to remember is that we convert every metric into a 0 to 100 score. This standardization removes scale differences, making it easier to compare and combine these insights objectively. All of this together forms a more reliable, comprehensive view, helping us make smarter, data-backed decisions in our fantasy football strategy. Now let's talk about the blend formula, where science really meets gut instinct. Essentially, we're using a simple weighted average to combine these two key inputs, your gut feeling and the measurable metrics. But here's the twist: these weights aren't fixed. They're dynamic and can change based on your own historical calibration, which you track through your diary data. So, the final prediction score is calculated by multiplying your gut score by your gut weight, then adding that to the metric average multiplied by 1 minus your gut weight. This way, you're blending intuition with data in a flexible way. Typically, you might start with a baseline weight, for example, 40% gut and 60% metrics overall. But if you're dealing with rookies or young breakout candidates, the gut might be worth a bit less, say 25%, with more reliance on metrics. Conversely, veteran players in new schemes might lean more on gut instinct, around 55%. For injury-prone or prove-it players, you might trust your gut less, around 30%, and lean more on the data. The key point here is that these weights should be adjusted after every season, based on how well your diary records match actual outcomes. This approach keeps your predictions personalized and dynamic, aligning your gut feelings with your experience over time. Ultimately, it's about making smarter, more calibrated predictions by blending science with your own insights. All right, let's look at this quick spreadsheet template that you can easily copy and paste into your diary records. The layout I recommend works whether you're using Google Sheets or Excel. The key columns you'll want to include are player, position, gut score, gut note, proj PTS, situational score, opportunity score, risk score, metric AVG, final score, rank, and draft decision. Now, for the final score, there's a simple formula you can use, an example being C2 0.4 plus average E2 H2 0.6. This combines your gut score with an average of your other metrics to give you a balanced view. If you're really into the science side, you can go further by importing your data into Python or JASP. Running a quick regression here helps you find the optimal weights for each metric, maximizing your accuracy based on your historical data. The main takeaway is that this layout makes it straightforward to record and analyze your player evaluations systematically, blending gut feelings with data-driven insights. This way, you can make smarter draft decisions with confidence. Let's walk through this hypothetical example for a 2026 player. Imagine a 26-year-old wide receiver who's moving into a pass-heavy offense, and he's got a young quarterback throwing to him. The gut feeling here is a 9, which suggests he's an explosive athlete and a perfect fit for the scheme. I already feel the chemistry between them developing. Now, looking at the metrics, his projected points are around 7.8, but his situational value is higher at 8.5, opportunity is strong at 9.2, and risk is relatively low at 6. When we average these out, we get a metric score of about 7.9. To get a final score, we blend the gut instinct and the metrics, weighting the gut more at 40% and the metrics at 60%. Doing the math, that gives us a final score of approximately 8.34. This score suggests he's a high-end WR2 with potential to move into WR1 territory. And here's the key takeaway. Without considering the metrics, you might be tempted to overdraft him at 1.08. But by combining both perspectives, the gut and the data, you stay disciplined and make a smarter pick. It's all about balancing instinct with analytics to find players you love without overpaying. So the bottom line here is that the goal isn't to suppress or kill your gut instincts. Instead, it's about giving your gut a voice, a way to communicate and be checked against the actual data. Think of it as a conversation between your intuition and your metrics. When they're in agreement, that's when you can have high conviction in your decisions, because both are telling you the same story. But the real value comes when they disagree. That's your signal that something needs deeper investigation, whether that's more film, more context, or a different perspective. That tension, that conflict between your gut and the metrics, is actually where the edge lives. It's where you find opportunities for insight and growth. So remember, it's not about blindly trusting your gut or only relying on data. It's about balancing the two, listening carefully, and knowing when to dig deeper. That's how you stay sharp and make smarter, more confident decisions.